So almost a year ago today, Donald Trump and an organized group of powerful people tried to overturn the election in the United States. And there are people sitting in Congress, courtrooms, and counties right now that weren't just okay with it, but colluded to make it happen. I've got some feelings, and I'm sure you do too. Let's talk about it. My name's Jonathan. I'm on staff within the varsity. My kid's back there, and this is EHA Daily. Slate's What Next podcast with the amazing Mary Harris spotlighted an article by Bartman Gellman at The Atlantic titled "The Coup Next Time." It cannot be overstated that there is an organized, intentional, well-funded, publicly known, and talked about plan and strategy for democracy to be undermined in this country in 2022 and 2024. And I appreciate their willingness to consistently call it out. The problem, just like with every great piece of media, is so what do we do with that now? Especially as followers of Jesus seeking to engage in emotionally healthy activism when the political violence of the last 5 years by right-wing extremists is like passed off as Christian. It's like, what do we do? Leave your questions and comments in the DMs and I'll respond to them. Or go to patreon.com/IVED and sign up to talk to our team. First things first, though, attempted coup, white supremacy, Christian nationalism, like what feelings do we have? I've got some fear, some confusion, but mostly shock and fatigue. I'm surprised and exhausted by having the same conversations over and over again. I'm afraid for my kids and what type of country they'll have in the years to come. I want things to be better. So how do I process how I'm going to respond? I think it's helpful to remember to ground ourselves in the good news of the gospel and then contextualize it here because God is a God of justice, not voter suppression, racism, and dishonesty. James Chung created the big story, and there are 4 parts to this gospel story. Part 1 is in Genesis 1 and 2. God made the world and he made it good. That's the creation that you and I are a part of, and so we're a part of everything that's good and created. We're made in the image of God to flourish, work, rule, and create. Part 2 is that evil exists. We all fall short, and it's clear that things are not as they should be. And if we reflect on the violence on January 6th and around it, that's clear evidence for the broken world we find ourselves in. Part 3 is the good news of the gospel, that Jesus is the Messiah, not me or you. He actually came to redeem, save, and restore all things, including me and you, but certainly not limited to it. And part 4, he actually wants me and you to join with him in renewing and restoring the world. This has 3 circles: personal, relational, systemic. Most of the time, if we're honest, this stops just at personal. God made me good. I got messed up. Jesus saved me, and I'm waiting for my chariot for the sky. But there's so much more. God's not private. He is personal. He didn't die for me, but for all of us. And I'm not the center of the story. He is. So it is personal, but relational, systemic as well. See, we'll talk about implications of this tomorrow because we're running out of time. But if you got questions, go to patreon.com/IVED, send me a DM or drop something in the comments. Thank you so much for listening to EHA Daily. That's Emotionally Healthy Activist, and we'll